This podcast was created on the lands of the Ngunnawal people, the Wurundjeri people, and Ngāti Pawa. We acknowledge the contributions of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Maori people to making rugby league the greatest game of all.
You're listening to NRL Hellmouth, the podcast where we open up a portal to the rugby league realm to see what horrors and delights we can unearth. It's Anzac round this weekend, and let me tell you, there's no other diggers you'd rather be holed up in the NRL trenches with than these two, Daniel and James. G'day, cobbers.
Beanies and bucket hats.
Hang on, shouldn't it be beanies and slouch hats?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot about that. But yes, absolutely thrilled to be here. James, how about you?
Great to be with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to this round of rugby league. And I just have a quick message before I pass to you, Simon, for the full introduction. Andrew Lancaster, St George chairman, you came out in the media earlier this week and you threw fire towards us and other members of the media when all we have done is try and support you through analysis, creativity and ideas to get your club back on track. And I'm not going to stand for it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've said it now. Name names next time, Lancaster. We're not scared. I'm not scared to name you.
Media accountability and light entertainment. That's what you come here for, and you've got one very angry man.
Let's just get on with the show.
Well,
thank you.
We might have a bit more Flanagan talk later on, James. I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh, fantastic. Cool. I got some cool ideas and some great riffs, so let's get into it.
Also coming up in the show today, we'll be putting our careers on the line by critiquing the team's Anzac jerseys. We'll also highlight some of the country's best regional rugby league team names. So let's open it up and raise some hell.
There's the kickoff. Let the party begin.
Like, I undeservedly apologise to everyone for my actions.
I didn't intend to disrespect anybody, and I definitely didn't do it on the car.
Well, I've been watching the Seagulls, and not one of them is eating.
This is a horror movie. Rugby league. What else can this grand final provide?
To get stacked live on television.
Stop it, it's starting to hurt.
Well, it was another miserable week in the world of NRL, wasn't it?
No, not this week. No, look,
What?
I'm getting a lot of, I'm getting the sense that people are getting a little bit down about our tough stance on the rapidly deteriorating state of this game. But
Tough but fair, I would say.
It's all about positivity this week. I'm excited about the direction of the game. I say, why stop at 6 again? Let's go 7s again. Why not keep on rolling? We have to remember at these times that rugby league is born of reinvention. Otherwise, we'd still be playing rugby. So I cannot wait for the next round of rule revisions, and I think, guys, we're just going to get excited about these changes.
Dan, is this something that your therapist suggested after you called for an emergency appointment at 8 p.m. on Friday night after the Storm had lost their 5th game?
I needed to at least give this a try before my next prescription was filled. So I'm giving it my best, putting my best foot forward. But look, I'm very excited. And look, before we go on, I know that my team has gone 5 losses on the trot, and I, for one, am extremely thrilled about this situation with the Storm. Could not be more excited. I support a struggling side. I want to get on Oprah's couch and yell it out because, here we are. We've been waiting, decades for this. And I talked to my daughter, who's too young to know any different and too inexperienced in the sporting landscape to have sort of, aligned herself with any miserable teams long term. And I tell her about their valuable lessons that once the Storm kind of go downhill, shall we say, then, that's part of the journey. You've got to earn your stripes to enjoy those premierships. And
there's a quiet honour in it, Dan, isn't there?
That's right. And hey, look, even before her time, we only have to go back to 2010 to what I think history remembers as the Great Leveller, where the NRL docked us some points just to kind of balance the teams up a little bit.
Yes, that's right.
And,
I think it was
made us get rid of some players.
A few cheeky asterisks on our Wikipedia page, but we fought then, didn't we? And look at us now. So, this is, I am thrilled by the opportunity.
Good for you, Dan, to start talking with your kids about the Mark Murray era and where you were during those two seasons of disappointment for the Storm and what you learnt from that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the journey more than the destination.
Thank you.
Careful though, Daniel. You can get hooked on mediocrity. I find that when the Raiders are doing well, like I'm happy. Like all of last year, I was happy they did so well. But at the same time, there's like a nagging sense of discomfort that something here, the world is not right.
Oh, here he comes again. Here he comes again. Look,
now that we're back on the. Now that we're back,
you got two on the run.
Yeah. But I mean, look, we're sitting pretty in 13th place, which to me is just comfortable, just comfortable. Now, time for our weekly enshittification check. And look, you know what, Dan, you're not the only one feeling a bit positive this week because I think clearly the word came down from Verlanders to lay off the arm waving. Because the set restarts were right down last weekend. The Raiders Storm game on Friday night only had 6, same as Manly Cowboys. Manly Cowboys aren't most Cowboys Manly. And the Eels Bulldogs game only had 3 6-agains called across 80 minutes. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Do you know how long it's been since we saw that?
No, how long?
It was the opening 2 games.
Yeah.
Up until these last 2 rounds, it was the 2 games in Vegas that were bizarrely stacked in the very empty 6-agains column. So,
Verlanders wanted to make sure that we had some good games in Vegas, and we did, didn't we?
Because exactly right.
Anyway,
the Dragons have never got closer to a win.
Yeah, true. So we saw some good quality games, didn't we? Nice close ones. There was only really the one blowout on Thursday night. And look, I don't want to say this podcast is entirely responsible for this positive development, but we have been pushing the give up at 20 initiative the last few weeks in which fans stop watching as soon as their teams fall behind by 20 and redirect their energies to other activities.
That's right. It's encouraging teams to only lose by 18, which is huge change.
Small steps. But the give up at 20 campaign had some high-profile support this week from none other than Wayne Bennett.
Yes.
Bennett said, quote, "The great athletes in our game are not a negative, but you need rules that compensate for that as well because we have to keep scoreboards balanced. Otherwise, you will turn your TV off at 20-0 knowing the game is over."
Oh,
exactly, Wayne.
He's been listening.
So I'm wondering if those fans giving up at 20 is showing up in the second half TV ratings and got the executives in a bit of a panic up at NRL HQ.
Oh.
Hence the changed interpretation yet again.
It certainly looks that way.
From little things, big things grow. Huh?
Yeah, no doubt about
and
it.
They have heard the call.
Permeated into our zeitgeist in this league.
So much so that people don't even attribute it to us. It's quite amazing how it's worked.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, that's how all the best ideas, spread throughout society.
No doubt.
And our union comrades at the Rugby League Players Association are also weighing in. They have never been a fan of the new rules being introduced this year without player consultation. And just last week, they requested a data pack from the NRL with key statistics relating to the speed of the game, play the balls, injuries and more. They're planning to analyse the data pack along with players' lived experience of playing the game and provide the NRL with former player feedback on the impact of the rule changes for the 2026 season.
So this confirms that they were not in on the changes.
No, they definitely were.
Typical, they normally give the Players Association a heads up, at least allows the players at an individual level and a club level enough time to make adjustments that they can kind of anticipate the changes of the game will bring.
That's right. But no, players weren't involved. It seemed to be pretty much Verlanders and co. And then that kind of cabal of hand-picked coaches, Bennett, Bellamy, Stewart, Trent Robinson, can't remember who the other two were, on the rules committee. But even Ricky's switched.
Yep.
He said this week.
So I was just about to do a rant.
Yeah, well.
So I just got very furious in my head.
I know. So Ricky was there.
You came up with it, Stuart. It was part of your group that approved it. Now you're walking it back.
Well, listen to this, James. This is what he said last week. Ricky said, quote, "We've lost the fabric of the game." True.
You bloody well have.
The interpretation regarding 6-agains is now given willy-nilly. Making the game faster doesn't necessarily make it more attractive because the scoreline is 50-30. I don't believe that is more attractive. Neither do we, Stick. We've been saying it for 10 weeks now. Thank you for listening to the podcast, Mr. Stewart.
I don't want to hide in the coach's box. I'm here to fight, here to win. I'm on the sideline with the team fighting hard as I can.
The Dragons 0-7, and the change had to be made.
Yes, coaching guillotine claims another victim. So Flanagan's out. Assistant coach Dean Young is in.
What can you tell me about Dean?
Well, I can tell you one thing about Dean. Apparently it was touch and go for him getting the job of interim coach. According to Danny Weidler in the Nine papers, some of the Dragons power brokers were not keen on him because he once turned up to an online job interview wearing a training singlet.
Okay.
Weidler was quick to clarify through his sources. I'm going to guess maybe that what his source might have been Dean himself.
Right.
Quick to clarify that wasn't actually a singlet, but rather a club polo shirt.
Okay.
Does that make a difference?
Well, at least it wasn't a Bintang singlet, you know? I mean, he's at least kind of on brand, so that shows some sort of awareness.
It
job
shows
awareness.
He's on the tools.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
really
really
fine.
awesome for when Dean went home after making the decision to undertake the interim head coach role, and he told his wife to buckle up.
Right.
And apologise to his 3 kids about the chaotic journey ahead, which is a real fantastic thing to do after you get a job.
Yeah.
Guys, I have ruined my life and yours.
Yeah, that's right. Things are going to change around here.
Yeah.
Now, Dean, he was already on the coaching staff with Michael Ennis, and I understand that was sort of the first point of friction is that he was promoted, but part of the moves, whether it was him or, well, actually, I think he has
was him,
up
yeah.
to it being his move. He decided to let Michael go.
Yeah. I like to think maybe he's just a great fan of Ennis's commentary, as we are on this podcast, and was like, I don't want to take you away from the thing that you're really good at, Mick. So here's some more time to spend in at the table at Fox Sports or in the booth.
A really great quote here from Young, which is, "I've got nothing against him as a coach, comma, I think, comma, potentially, comma, he could be a good head coach down the track." But for me, I need different voices, i.e. not his. And we all know that sometimes when you're in a room with Michael Ennis, you do want to hear a different voice. And I need the playing group to feel different. So, yeah, I think we know what is at play on that one.
I thought also the fallout from the announcement was very interesting. I don't know if you saw, but the Dragon CEO, Andrew Lancaster, that James referred to as taking a swipe, a very vague and broad swipe at the media that we have taken umbrage to.
I was very direct then.
It was very direct.
He was direct in a way, but he didn't name names and he should have.
Well, actually, that's kind of led to confusion on NRL 360 with Braith and the boys. This is the evening after the announcement. And the guys on 360, was it Gordy, Reedy and Richie, they were very clear to point out that it was definitely a shot at you, Braith.
Was it directed at me or not?
Well, I think it was.
You think it was?
Well,
it
felt like it was
directed
at this show, but particularly at you, obviously, because of the Lachlan Ilias
But then they said, but Braith, you're actually you're really restrained and, actually have been really generous to the Dragons.
Many times withheld commenting on the Dragons because you felt like it's... No, I'm saying I've defended Braith because times on this show you've stayed out of it because
I've tried
because of that worry there'd be a perception
but I'm a big boy.
And then they all just take turns sinking the slipper into the Dragons exec.
Point his finger at the media and me indirectly, I thought was weak as piss, just like his press conference was.
They thought it was about them.
Yeah, they thought it. Yeah. Well,
have they been producing Dragon-specific content like us, or are they just bitching and moaning like usual? I saw Paul Kent thought it was about him as well. Probably it's one of those moments where it's in the eye of the beholder. And perhaps we're all guilty in the rugby league media landscape. Perhaps that's the case. Perhaps it's the same for me. I retract my comments about Andrew Lancaster, and I truly apologise. And I'll be in touch about potential opportunities going forward.
The point you raise is very interesting, and you sort of actually makes you wonder, was it actually aimed at anyone in particular, or are all of these different sources just claiming accountability in order to create good spin? Because the NRL 360 episode where that featured was turned into a title, "Have Some Balls, Braith slams weak as piss Dragons as senior players put on notice," which is like, that's genuine clickbait.
Absolutely.
And definitely catches your eye.
You know, it was exciting clickbait, the hunt for Red V in October. James's fantastic dragon-specific high-concept reel.
Bit of news on that, actually, guys.
Go on.
Last week we released another clip featuring the Hunt V for Red October, and Brian Toll was shit in his pants due to all the hamburgers and Coke Zero he drinks. And that actually performed less well than the Hunt Red V for Red October on TikTok. So that's good news, and I look forward to progressing the Hunt for Red V over the coming months.
And so you should. But I do want to get in on that act. We actually had great success from a clip featuring Cody the Fraud Bear from Perth that was unveiled before last week. And for some reason, that sort of triggered some general interest from the algorithms.
People
so I'm just trying to...
do not like it when you mess with the taxonomy of the tree of life, Daniel. It's quite clear. Naturalists have been working for centuries on categorising species based on their various characteristics and locations, and then bloody Mal Meninga and whatever clown they've got running that club walk in here and turn the whole thing over from Charles Darwin to now.
The people have spoken, or at least the algorithms.
Exactly.
Hey, whatever happened, I think you're absolutely right. So it's worth milking that bear one more time if we get the opportunity.
Check out our mascot content for the next 16 weeks.
Well, I've got something better. I've designed something to create designated clickbait and hits so we can do big numbers, as they say, online. So here's how it works. So is there truth in the reports that Perth mascot Cody the Bear made anti-Semitic comments at a fundraising dinner attended by the NRL and convicted paedophile Gordon Shumway, where, among other matters, a move from Nathan and Ivan Cleary to Perth is all but signed, sealed and delivered. Now, no, it's absolutely not true. And it's false. I actually just made it up. Gordon Shumway is actually TV alien Alf's real name on Melmac. But that doesn't matter because I've got what I need, and I'm going to clip that up. And the audience, even the fact that I've discredited what I've just gone through,
doesn't matter.
Heard what they want to.
Hey Dan, I've got one. Is NRL 360 host Braith the Nesta in a massive conflict of interest due to his due to him being a leading player manager? And does he leverage his media platform to provide an uneven playing field for his players across the NRL? Well, that's absolutely potentially accurate.
Absolutely. Oh, and I forgot to mention, after you say all that stuff, you can say that it was absolutely false, but then you have to say, but still has to be asked. And that sort of just allows that element of doubt, just enough for people to believe what they want to believe.
And here's this bloke who wants to have a crack at the media. That's what we do. We critique and we scrutinise. We critique and we scrutinise. We critique.
Point his finger at me indirectly, I thought was weak as piss, just like his press conference was.
So just finally on our St. George focus. And isn't it nice, guys, not to be talking about Manly for 3 weeks in a row?
That's nice, yeah.
It's wonderful. It's what a coach change, a coach refresh does. A final thing about St. George, and I've said prior to this that we have been very positive about St. George Dragons and what they're trying to achieve. One thing that they have achieved quite poorly this week, and it is so poor that that us three young Gen Xers or aged millennials, whatever we are, were so affronted by it that it doesn't need to be called out, and that is the Wes Anderson times Captain's Run Dragons video, which I'm now watching on my screen without sound, and it's even worse because if you were to go watch the video, you would see it is nothing like a Wes Anderson film. There is no framing, there's no Dutch tilt, there is no overhead shot, there is no specific colour grading. There's potentially one shot of a lawnmower not done on a tripod that could potentially be used, and everything else is a usual hodgepodge of crap from a Captain's Run put together with some twee music.
It is appalling. It's we've seen some bad stuff out of the Dragons this year, but gosh.
And again, Lancaster offers their anything millennial or Gen X coded pass it by us. If you're going to do a Friends video, you're going to do something, I don't know, Monkey Magic, Transformers, anything of that oeuvre, just send us a text or a DM and we can advise you on what is actually going to not offend the sensibility of this key rugby league demographic.
Well said.
Also, I mean, what a massive opportunity missed. I mean, the Dragons, they're a great opportunity for a Wes Anderson film. Imagine, this came out prior to the sacking. Imagine, casting a Bill Murray as Shane Flanagan, and you've got, who would go to? Jason Schwartzman in the role of Kyle Flanagan. And they had just, beautifully disjointed dialogue between the two of them as, they know that the inevitable is coming.
Dan, can I just say one thing to that? Just honestly, again, just because I know I've been quite honest today, but a few things. Can you do me a favour and not undercut the Hunt for Red V concept with a better one? Just not on air.
Yeah.
That's
sorry.
something you could potentially send to us after the show. But
didn't even come into my mind. I apologise.
What absolute madness. Well, it might be madness, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope the viewer has as well.
That's because you're mad.
What? You're mad. That's a lovely way to go to a break.
So, Anzac Round, of course, is a time for remembrance and reflection for NRL clubs, but for many of them, it's also a time to make some terrible graphic design choices. I'm referring, of course, to the commemorative Anzac jerseys you'll see most teams wearing on the pitch this weekend. Look, some clubs haven't revealed theirs at the time of recording this podcast, and I hope for their sake they're not going to skip this proud tradition, which dates back, at least 8 or 9 years.
Years. Years.
Multiple of years.
So I've shared a document with you containing the jerseys that have been revealed so far. I'm just going to have a bit of a chat.
Thanks for that. Really
and I thought
great.
we'd take a leaf out of Dan's book and start on a positive. What do you think is the best one? I think the Dragons one is genuinely very good.
I must agree. That's mine too.
The Dragons have gone for a classic white jersey with the red V instead being made up of red poppies and strands of wattle.
Like it.
Simple, elegant. Genuinely love it. I would buy one, except then people would think I'm a St George supporter and I can't deal with that. The other one I really liked was the Eels. They almost pulled this off as a good jersey. It's a bit of a tribute to the Australian Light Horse Brigade. Shout out to my great-grandfather Edward Bower, who was in the Light Horse at Gallipoli.
Shout out.
Hey, shout out, Edward.
The Light Horsemen wore an emu feather in their hats, and the Eels have used that feather motif to create what I think is a really nice patterned jersey in a sort of a dusty yellow shade. Yeah,
I see that now.
Unfortunately,
particularly the detail on the back is awesome.
Really nice. Unfortunately, they also felt the need to slap a photograph of an actual light horseman across the abdomen, which to me takes away from the stylish and the symbolism of it. Not a fan of the photographic jersey.
There's a lot of washed out graphics across all of these. The Eels one, yes, I like that use of iconography, but it just looks like it's been left out in the sun for quite a while.
That's true.
They've all gone for that sort of olden day vibe, but a lot of them are a complete Where's Wally. You'd have to have them up close to really see what was going on.
100%.
Which is sort of, I think, if I'm looking at the main criteria for designing an outfit, I think it sort of needs to be seen from the stands. And so my biggest kind of worry with a lot of these things is that there's so much significance loaded into all of them, but really they're happening in the sort of watermarked depth of a lot of these designs, and it's really hard to make out a lot of these fantastic details that I read about, but I just can't see.
It's apt just saying on the positive, if we can just very briefly, because then we can really get into it. But I really always like the Roosters jersey, or usually always like it, and I never knew until I read the description this time that they favour the sky blue. Or the Bondi blue, as they call it, because when it was wartime in Australia, the dark navy dye needed to be used.
Yeah, you would assume so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, military uniforms. So then they had to use a lighter blue because the actual dye was being used in the war effort. So that actually is a decent meaning.
Yeah,
and very apt
nice.
for St George and Roosters to have the two subtly best jerseys, I would say.
I would say so too.
And it would be great if we ended it there.
All right, what's your worst?
I'll do my one that I think grinds my gears the most, and that is from multiple points of view, the Cowboys jersey of this year, which again uses I think the technique's called sublimation, where you've got the full graphic on display.
Thank you, James.
And
yes.
it's basically got a full army troop with a tank on the front with something at the back and a kind of sunset type scene, and then at the top, and then on the back it's got a big old helicopter.
Yeah.
So it is a mess from a design perspective, notwithstanding the meaning behind it. But then the ad copy for the jersey, first of all, shout out that I don't think it was written by a large language model. But there's a quote in here profiling the unmatched lethality of the Australian Army's North Queensland-based brigades. The defence jersey features Australian soldiers alongside a M1A2 main battle tank and assault breacher vehicle, whilst the back of the vehicle sees the CH-47 Chinook take centre stage. And it's just sort of, I don't know if the term is war porn or insane.
It's very
you would call out
isn't it?
it is. You would call out the lethality of anything.
Yeah.
Is a little bit on the nose.
It is on the nose,
to
especially
this peacenik over here. But that's just me.
Well, I think also on the... I don't want to speak for the Anzacs, of course, but that's a good clip you can cut up, Dan. Good bit of controversy. But yeah, I mean, the day is supposed to be about remembrance and thinking about sacrifice and that sort of thing, not, look at how good at killing our modern army is.
Yeah, that's right. It's not a celebration of war.
No, shouldn't be. Yeah, I agree. That one was a shocker. I'm just not a fan of the photographs on jerseys. War is famously just not an attractive thing.
Yeah.
And there was that. Do you guys remember that famous incident a few years ago where I think it was the Tigers used a stock photo for Anzac Day that turned out to be American soldiers?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with your what did you call it? Sublimation.
Yeah,
where you get your Chinooks from. The other big problem with this one is what's the overall colour, guys?
Yeah,
just
spot
green.
on.
It's like this is another mandatory box that needs to be ticked with when making a uniform, and that is number one, give yourself a good design that you can see from the stands. Number two, don't make it look like the grass, because it's like. I know that's like one of the other great themes of just getting a little bit ahead of the Raiders jersey, but it is definitely a camouflage theme with this Cowboys one, and they'll blend right in. But then the Raiders have gone for a different type of camouflage, and that is it's like an Arctic war. I think that they're expecting to battle out at this weekend.
Well, it has been getting cold.
The Arctic War as imagined by a 12-year-old.
Yeah, that's right. It's either an Arctic War or a 90s London rave.
Yeah.
But you're spot on with the camouflage jerseys being a risky choice, Dan. I mean, the Raiders are struggling enough with their on-field combinations this year. How's Sanders supposed to get the ball out the back to KO Weeks if he can't even see him?
That's right. The other big problem with the Raiders one is they've gone for the slogan "Yield Not," just in like the tramp stamp position at the back of the back of the jersey. And my big problem, it just looks like like a sort of one of those humorous shirts where they've put some sort of a caption on to highlight the fact that you're treading in dicey waters around there near the buttocks.
Oh yeah, it's like the classic no entry.
Yeah,
on the back of the undies,
but reworked for an Anzac sentimentality.
Terrific, yeah. The Raiders also highlights. Well, actually, there's quite a few jerseys that have these kind of slogans on them, Anzac slogans, and it's a fine line between honouring our servicemen and women and honouring the contractual obligations to the club's sponsors. So that Yield Not appears directly below the Club Lime. Logo on the race. I was like, Club Lime, Yield Not, which I guess is great motivation if you the talent of
I'm sure it's
elliptical
said many
workout.
times at Club Lime. Yeah.
The other great one was the Storm that had. So their kit this year honours the Rats of Tobruk. And they've got a little slogan on the back saying there is to be no surrender and no retreat. Grilled. So great motivation for those looking to choose the extra large chips.
Yeah,
just go for it, guys. Don't go backwards here.
That is the other big problem with all these things is like all of these design features are completely overwhelmed by the massive sponsor things. Like you're talking about that slogan, many, many words, but the whole sentence there comes in at about a 1/50th of the size of the grilled logo that dominates the back of the jersey. So, we can see who butters the bread.
We certainly can.
It's not the old guys lining up at the shrine.
But look,
a special shout out as well to the Storm jersey, because we have to read the terrible copy. Built to honour sacrifice, courage and legacy, the Melbourne Storm Anzac jersey is more than just a kit. Massive M dash, the biggest M dash you've ever seen. Is more than just a kit. Big M dash. It's a tribute. Designed in a deep commanding tones, this special edition jersey reflects the spirit of the Anzacs, blending the club's iconic identity with symbolic elements that can commemorate those who served. And you could read the entire copy, which is relatively long, and you still do not understand the splash of purple on top of a different shade of purple.
Yeah, that's basically.
There's no rat.
I
want a rat.
There's no detail
Thank you.
whatsoever.
No, there's no rat.
Yeah. That Storm one is 100% written by an AI. The official club and NRL insignia, complete and authentic look. Yeah, no shit. All of the jerseys have the official club logo and NRL insignia.
The Newcastle Knights have gone for an interesting one. They've gone for a completely different strip inspired by honouring the 35th Battalion, dubbed Newcastle's own. And so there was a particular badge that was worn there. What's interesting here is that not only have they made their entire jersey inspired by this badge, abandoning the classic Knights colours and going with a bottle green, white and brown design, but they've also then just included the badge on the side. So
if you were a Knights supporter, a new Knights supporter, just say you started 3 weeks ago, you would have had the normal jersey, then dressed as miners, then probably back to an away jersey, and then this one, and you'd be very confused from a colour perspective.
Absolutely. One thing, actually, that was something I investigated during the week, was the original Henny Penny Newcastle Knights. I think I've dropped a few times here that I was a AFL supporter or a VFL supporter back in those days when I was young, and I remember seeing this guy as part of the Fitzroy cheer squad. The Fitzroy team used to be red, blue and yellow, as it still is, but there was a guy that was a member of the cheer squad that used to wear this great jersey that I was very interested by, and it turns out it was a late 80s Newcastle Knights Henny Penny era jersey, which of course they had some of their text decals in yellow, so it matched the Fitzroy colours perfectly.
Lovely.
I just always thought, it must be like a mine, or it must be some sort of like big, corporation that was big in Newcastle. And I looked it up during the week, and it was a takeaway chicken joint.
Yeah,
was it really? I never questioned that either. I thought it was a mom and pop's
little chicken joint,
that's lovely.
And there's still a number of branches there, but apparently it was a classic Newcastle staple, and they were actually the inaugural major sponsor for the Newcastle Knights. I think it was 86 maybe 87 and 89. But I do love those stories.
Hey, shout out 20 fans in Adamstown, East Maitland, Edgeworth, Raymond Terrace, Salamander Bay, Thornton, all Wallsend. Enjoy your Henny Penny.
Right, that's a wrap on the Anzac jerseys for this year, I think. If you're a Sky News reporter who wants to shame us for doing this segment, you can find our headshots and bio information at nrlhellmouth.com. Lest we forget.
I've got another opportunity to stir up some controversy. Well, I was listening to friends of the pod over at the 167 podcast with Money, Hughesy and Pat.
Oh, yes.
Storm players and they have a Friday Funnies feature as part of a double episode split they do on a weekly basis this year.
How many frickin' episodes do they do a week?
They're only doing 2. They record them.
Too many, man. Focus on
freaking getting some energy into the game.
More to the point, I mean, the Storm are struggling. You know how sometimes the clubs will get put on a booze ban if they're not doing well and the players can't drink. The Storm need to enforce a podcast ban.
Yeah, content creation ban.
It is very funny you should say that in light of our comments at the start of the episode, because during their recent episode, they hit out at people who criticised the fact that they were recording during a
Dan,
slump.
clip this and send it to them.
They're going to love it. But going back, I think it was about a month or so ago, they do a quiz. They may have actually dropped the quiz, probably because of what you're about to listen to. But they go through a series of trivia questions, and it's first buzzer first. And this one's got a wonderful Anzac Day theme. Take a listen.
All right, next question. What year did the Anzacs land at the Gallipoli Peninsula?
Oh, my gosh.
What year?
Oink.
Yep.
1508.
No. Boing. Yeah. It's in the 19s, eh?
Yeah.
1962?
No.
So there you go. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, it's intriguing that Cameron Munster thought that Australian troops were being sent out before even European settlement. But, you know, nature finds a way. And then Hughes, over the other side of the strait, came to set him straight and came in almost 2 decades after World War II.
He was closer.
He was. What did you say? 1962.
1962.
Yeah. Well, you know, there was a big peace movement in the 60s. You know, the hippie, the flower power, all of that. I assume that was to do with Gallipoli.
Something to do with Gallipoli.
I bet Money's going to put the shirt on and the jersey on and say something like, "Wow, this is like very 1518 accurate."
Preceding the industrial age and modern textiles, but still.
Yeah, I didn't know sublimation was a technology that was 700 years old. Fascinating.
Mal Meninga there, looking solid, shall we say. He really does look just a little bit overweight, as to be expected.
Another cause for optimism and celebration is the birth of a young child. And one of the game's greats is now a daddy. That's Angus Crighton, who over the weekend celebrated the healthy birth of son Sullivan with his partner Chloe. So wonderful times there. But I was particularly taken by a great quote that I saw pop up. And the quote was, "My wife, she's been going beast mode. She's the real MVP." And I just love those ones where we're sort of, you know, we talk to these guys in these situations and, you know, they wonder in the heat of the moment, what's the best way I can compliment my wife, having endured the incredible process of birthing a human. And, you know, it often falls on talking to a professional athlete in a male-dominated sport.
Yeah.
So
what he should have said is this: she's been going beast mode, and the only way I can support her over the next period is by folding some clothes.
A very nice touch. Well, you know, like Angus, I think he'd been through a lot. He did sort of, you know, in order to streamline the process, I understand he was insisting on having the doula dressed as a trainer. He kept on pushing Chloe some motivational quotes, process over outcome, next man up. These were really kind of big mantras.
We go again, Chloe. We go again, Chloe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, there was some concern at one stage that labour wasn't progressing well enough, but the obstetrician thankfully called 6 again, and Chloe's defences were so exhausted she dilated like a champ, and baby Sullivan broke through right between the uprights, pulling off his first celly, as well as personalised handshakes with both mum and dad. Now, for a moment, they weren't sure if it was a boy or a girl, but the bunker found a really definitive angle, and Chloe made the conversion by delivering the placenta soon thereafter. So it's a big congratulations to the family.
Lovely stuff.
Actually, the question I wanted to ask you guys, would you miss the recording of this podcast for the birth of a child?
This podcast is my child, Dan.
So you're birthing right now, every week?
Yep, takes its toll. But as I think Angus said to Chloe, gotta sometimes you gotta put in a full 80-minute performance.
I'd make it work. You know, I'd have that. I'd bring that mentality to it.
If I were actually to be the one birthing it through some medical miracle, birthing the child, then it's an easy yes, because then I would just say, listen, it's important to me to do this while I'm giving birth. But, there'd probably be a little bit of negotiation if I was simply to be at the side of the bed podcasting at the time of birth.
Guys, lower grade rugby league is a wonderland of fantastic club names. A lot of
Simon, so is lower grade podcasting.
Very true. A lot of their teams, regional teams, are named after usual suspects: Tigers, Raiders, Dragons, etc. But there are some wonderfully unique names and mascots to be found across this wide brown land. I've been through the Wikipedia page of rugby league clubs in Australia. I'd love to share some of my favourites with you now. There's a lot, because there's just some fantastic ones. Now, unsurprisingly, there are a lot named after animals. You have the Gymea Gorillas, Warragamba Wombats, Silver City Scorpions, they're from Broken Hill.
Beautiful.
The Bombala Blue Healers, Wallumbilla Surat Red Bulls. Now, the sponsorship opportunity gone begging.
Oh, hang on. So they're not actually sponsored by Red Bull?
No, they're called the Red Bulls.
Oh, my God. They could sue.
And the Binalong Brahmins, which I'm hoping is a reference to the Brahmin cow breed rather than an attempt to introduce the Hindu caste system into rugby league. We already have a caste system in the NRL. It's Sydney clubs at the top. Everyone else can get fucked. Some lovely bird-based team names: the Guildford Owls, Western Suburbs Rosellas, Hillston Bluebirds, Dapto Canaries, Hamilton Ducks and the Windang Pelicans. Insects aren't left out either, though. We've got the Aberglassan Ants, Mungindi Grasshoppers, Wickham Wasps, and the Pine Central Holy Spirit Hornets. I think you feel a sting from their hard hits, but you'll be in their prayers afterwards. I love a team named after a shit animal, the kind of species that are unlikely to strike fear into the heart of an opponent.
Yeah.
For example, the Forestville Ferrets, TAFE New South Wales Polecats, Kyogle Turkeys, or the Woolgolga Seahorses. I mean, I love seahorses, but I'm not sure I'd, trust one to take a tough carry at the back end of a half, you know what I'm saying? A few interesting colour-based team names, including the Leeton Galloping Greens, the Cabramatta 2 Blues, and the Glebe Dirty Reds from Sydney's inner west.
That's a good one.
The Dirty Reds are what many North Shore residents refer to the entire population of the left-leaning inner west.
Yeah.
The Dirty Reds were a foundation club for New South Wales comp, so there's a alternative timeline where they still play in the NRL every week.
Oh. Shout out to the
there are a number of teams named after the blue-collar work, which, I don't know, man. Rugby league's supposed to be an escape from the drudgery of employment. But in any case, we've got the Maramba Miners, the Young Cherry Pickers, the Maitland Pumpkin Pickers, Junee Diesels, that's Laurie Daly's old club, and the Central Charleston Butcher Boys.
Is it a problem like Butcher Boys? Yes, that's a annual, or that's a year-round pursuit, but you're only picking pumpkins in the fall, and your cherries even more limited in the season. So
maybe that's how the club was set up, was to give these cherry pickers something to do in their downtime.
Look, I take it all back.
And it's fair to say, Dan, within the cherry picking system, that there would be something to do each and every day. They don't just magically appear for a few months a year and you pick them. True. I think there is an infrastructure in place that people would be involved with.
Sure, that's fine, but I prefer that they amend the name to Cherry Industry Workers.
Yes, agreed.
Just so we sort of celebrate the all-year-round production, because everyone thinks it's glitz and glamour and you just pick them. But let's talk. Let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah.
Quite a few clubs are just named after types of men. The Aurora Valley Axemen, the West Wyalong Mallee Men, the Spring Shore Mountain Men, and the Parks Spacemen.
Jeez. How does it go when those teams try to get a W team up and running?
Well, mate, if the North Queensland Cowboys can do it.
Good point. What have they done? I don't even know. Just keep it.
They just call them the Cowboys, yeah.
Cowboys.
I think it's a IP issue. You have to have the same name because in the NRL at least, the team names are owned by the NRL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Backed himself into a corner there.
Parks Spaceman is, of course, a reference to the Parks Radio Telescope, which is featured in the much-loved Aussie film The Dish, or as I call it, the greatest historical travesty ever perpetrated upon the Australian people.
Oh, gosh.
Every Canberran knows the first footage of Neil Armstrong walking on the moon came via the ACT's own Honeysuckle Creek tracking station, not the Parks Radio Telescope. Rob Sitch, if you're listening, you're a disgrace to the country.
Dan, clip that, get that up. This is going to be hotter than the Kodiak beer.
I can see the banner now. Angry bloke talks telescopes.
You then have your war and violence-based teams, for example, the South Grafton Rebels, Taroom Wandoan Battlers, Fortitude Valley Diehards, Old Bar Beach Pirates, the Binaway Bombshells. I'm not sure if that last one is a reference to actual munitions or if they're just a really good-looking squad.
Yeah, I reckon it is. Just a bunch of beautiful blonde ladies in their 40s, very voluptuous, hot pink fanny packs. Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely. And my personal favourite team name theme, which is the spiritual or mythical being.
Yeah.
You got the Byron Bay Red Devils, Crookwell Green Devils, the Grafton Ghosts, the Northern Urited Dirrawong. Dirrawong is an ancestral being of the Bundjalung people that provides protection from the rainbow serpent. Sounds like the sort of player I want in my defensive line. Coonabarra Brown Unicorns, the Brothers Ipswich Leprechauns.
The Leprechauns.
And the Stanthorpe Gremlins. I believe their players are on a strict curfew, so no one has an opportunity to feed them after midnight.
Very nice. Is the Grafton Ghosts at all inspired by all the bodies that would be buried around the orchards out
Could be.
there? It's a little off colour.
Hey, we're a podcast called Hellmouth. We deal in matters of life and death and everything in between.
You're right.
I think we could potentially, I've just looked it up, the Stanthorpe Gremlins logo, which is awesome. We could potentially collaborate with them, change its colours up and get that little guy in on our stream because he has got a great rugby league attitude.
And look, just a few random ones to end on. We have the Moree Boomerangs. I hear they're comeback specialists.
I retract my laugh. It was non-voluntary. Keep going, Simon.
Courtesy laugh.
The Gyra Super Spuds. That one's just completely unhinged.
Wow.
And the Trundle Boomers. Apparently, instead of appealing to the ref for a penalty, they just asked for a capital gains tax discount on their investment properties. And there you have it.
If we've missed any, however, if anyone wants to write in hellmates@nrlhellmouth.com, if you can make some suggestions, or if you can bring us some great stories from any of these great teams that we've mentioned.
Yes, please.
If we've missed some gleaming details, or if you could tell us a little bit about that little gremlin.
It's called This Week in Hell.
It's called This Week in Hell.
It's called This Week in Hell. Welcome to This Week in Hell. You're hearing this on Thursday. And just to give a bit of a preview on next Thursday, it is State of Origin women's opening game. And we will do a full preview of that next week. And this week, it is Anzac round. So the biggest game is the traditional Anzac game between the Dragons and Roosters. And, of course, there is added spice because it is the first outing in this term as Dean Young as interim coach for the Dragons. He has relegated young Kyle Flanagan to the bench, and he has promoted even younger Cade Reid from year 10 Dapto High School, I think, to starting halfback. So good luck to Cade. We have often spoken about and often see the new coach bounce, but because Dean has already been an interim coach before, about 6 years or so, when Coach McGregor was forced out of the Dragons, he might not get the same approach. But he did, of course, do everybody a favour by getting rid of Michael Ennis, so they won't have to hear him yapping.
It is great when a team can rely on its experience at interim coaches to, know that we've done this before. It wasn't long ago.
I really hope we get Ennis commentating that one as well.
Foxley. Oh, my God. That would be heaven. My God. Okay. Watch out for that one. Okay. So that is the Anzac round kind of main event.
Yep.
Also on Anzac Day in New Zealand, Warriors Dolphins, and then back over in Melbourne, Storm Rabbitohs. I think all those three games will be sold out, so that is good to see, and hopefully we get some decent, close-ish games there. Tomorrow, Friday, the high-flying West Tigers, who had a tight loss last week against the rebounding Canberra Raiders, will be an interesting match. Last year's close to minor premiers, of course, the Raiders. So we'll see if they can build on the form
close to minor premiers. I think you'll
close
find
to
it was,
minor premiers. Oh, did you win? I sort of forgot that you actually were, because then you ended up losing in straight sets. But yeah, you were indeed the minor premiers. So there you go.
Don't remember that.
The upstart West Tigers versus the minor premiers of last year, the Canberra Raiders.
Yes, already suffering our traditional round 8 injury crisis. So tempering my expectations.
But it's a great game. This one has an opportunity. Like, the Raiders, although their form hasn't been scintillating in the last couple of weeks, I think this game does provide them an opportunity to say, all right, the early rounds were just a blip and we're back on target. And unfortunately, in the inverse is the West Tigers don't want to go back-to-back after their great early season form. So, pressure will be there. Pressure will be present.
I'm hoping that the one loss might be enough to psychologically break them, because they're so used to losing over recent years that,
It's been known to happen more than once.
But they are up against the most psychologically fragile team in the history of rugby league. So.
And then looking at games, I would say games of significance from a perspective of where teams are on the ladder. Interestingly, Panthers first versus Knights 8th is the only match of the entire round that features teams in the top 8, which is unique.
That is unique.
That said, are we taking any importance from the ladder at this stage? Like, every team has been so wishy-washy, apart from probably the Panthers. You would say that every team has a crack.
That's right, Dan. I think what you're saying is every game is meaningless because the game has lost all meaning. Fascinating. In which case, since no game has any meaning, all games have some meaning.
Wow.
And potentially we could get some meaning out of the Broncos. I think this one will be sold out as well. Friday night, last one to chat to. Broncos 9th, Bulldogs 10th. One of them will then start a further ascent or decline as we go along with this batshit crazy year of rugby league.
Oh, no, he pulled his hands away. No.
Possibility of penalty try and professional foul as the foul happens in the field of play.
Wow. There we go. That's how stupid the rule is.
I understand, but that's the rule as it stands.
All right, time to close up the Hellmouth for another week. Thank you for joining us. Please come back next week, and please also hit that share button to share this episode with a mate. We hope you enjoy the rugby league this weekend. Remember to stay positive. To get you in the mood, here's James's final thought.
Friends, it sure has been a weird old season. And even if it gets weirder and weirder, I'll be happy to know that due to modern technology and manufacturing, within a 2-week period, I would be able to design, organise and print a range of sublimated jerseys for me and my closest friends. Those jerseys would be covered in the ugliest camo imaginable, and on the back rear bottom section of that jersey it would say, "I bloody love rugby league." Enjoy your week. The park spacemen this week have to go to Nyngan from Parks, which is over 200 kilometres away, to play their game of rugby league. So they might have benefited from having a rocket ship to get them there. Feel free to cut that from the podcast.
By the way, everyone, that was improvised. James had not pre-prepared that. We didn't cut any prep time out. It was...